it going, guys? First of all, welcome and thank you very much for watching the last two videos. If you have watched those, thank you very much. I really appreciate you watching them, and if you liked it, I really appreciate that as well. So what I wanted to do is two things. First of all, welcome to my channel, Big T Outdoors. My name's Tyler. I really enjoy doing these videos, and I'm really looking forward to doing more of these. So stay tuned and check out all the cool, neat stuff that I'm going to be doing on this channel. I hope it interests you, and if there's anything you'd like to see, leave it in the comment section below, and I'll be glad to touch on that in a video. The second thing I'd like to do is show you guys exactly how I caught these pressured fish that I was talking about in the last video. So basically, let me give you a little bit of background on the lake and why it was technically pressured. There was a Bassmaster Open Series event on this lake, 147 boats, so huge tournament, all fishing on this lake for probably a good week and a half doing the pre-fishing before the 3-day event of the tournament. So it was very, very highly fished. The fish were all beat up. They'd seen every bait that people had thrown. So it made for some tough days on the water. Some very, very tough days on the water. So what I knew what they had won the tournament on, and I knew that the time of year it is, it's late spring, you know, unofficial summertime type fishing. And so I knew kind of what they were hitting on, and you know, the types of baits that I need to be throwing and areas that I need to be covering. So I went out there, and the tournament was won on a crankbait. The whole tournament was won on crankbaits. So went out there, threw those crankbaits on some points because I knew they would be out deeper. So I went to these points, started throwing these crankbaits. I hooked one fish on my second cast, probably about 4 pounds, shot right up out of the water and slung the hook out of its mouth. So he did not get it very well at all. So what that told me was I need to slow down a little bit. So what I did is I just threw that crankbait out there and I just reeled it very, very slowly and just slowed down that retrieve and seeing if that might be what they wanted. Turns out I never got a bite. Went out a little bit deeper, checked both sides of the point, never even got a single bite. Stayed on the same point, however, and decided that since they were not hitting a reaction bait, that I needed to swap and go to the other side of the spectrum and throw a more subtle, more, I guess you could say, finesse type bait, something that's just a lot slower presentation that may get them to bite. And so that's my first kind of key to learning a lake and learning how to better perform on the water and just better yourself and your knowledge of the fishing. And that is to, you know, if you're throwing a bait like say this 6XD and you're winding it and cranking it and giving it all you've got, you may have the confidence in that bait. You may have, you know, you may know that they're biting that bait, but if they're not touching it and you just keep throwing and throwing and throwing and you're losing confidence in it, don't keep throwing that bait. Throw something a little bit different. Throw something that, you know, maybe on, like I did, on the other end of the spectrum, throw something that's just a slow, just dragging on the bottom presentation, and they might just very well touch it. So that gets me into the bait that I'm going to be using. And let me first show you the rod and reel that I'm using to throw this on. So this is, get this turned around here. This is a Bass Pro Shops Tourney Special. This is just a combo. I think it's like $59 or $79 or something like that in the store. It is a great, great deal. I cannot say enough good things about this rod, and I have not found a better rod for a better price that throws a Texas rig like this one does. I mean, that's just hands down, this is one of the best rod and reels that you can get. It's a 7-foot, medium heavy, works absolutely outstanding on these type baits. So I have it spooled up with 10-pound Seaguar Red Label fluorocarbon. This is key to throwing a Texas rig because this fluorocarbon sinks It'll get your bait down there quicker. Also, it has little to no stretch, so it's going to transfer all of those bites and rocks and anything that you might be feeling with this that's on the bottom. It's going to transfer that up to your rod, and you're just going to be able to tell what kind of area you're in and what you're dragging your bait over. This is a 3/8 ounce tungsten weight. This is a 5/0 offset round bend worm hook. So that's the rig I'm throwing it on. Now, this is the bait I was throwing. This is a Strike King. This is the Rage Tail series. This is the structure bug, or a lot of people I hear also call it a rage bug. So pull one of these out here. These are a great creature bait. Whether you're flipping, pitching, throwing a Texas rig, I've used these on jigs. I mean, you name it, I've used these baits. So here's what it looks like right here. This is in the green pumpkin color. As you can see, it has 4 little arms here, 4 appendages. All 4 of these can be ripped apart, and they all have the Rage Tail design on them, which allows all 4 of those to just flutter. And it's just such an enticing action, and I just have so much confidence in this bait because of that. So what I did is I took this bait. They were not hitting the reaction bait. We're not hitting fast reaction baits. They were moving through the water. So I switched, started throwing my Texas rig with this exact bait on the same point, in the same depth of water, same boat position. Threw this bait, ended up catching 2 fish off of that point. To bring all that together into one, I kept the location of my boat. I kept the depth of water I was in on the same point, and I could feel the rocks on both my crankbait and my Texas rig. I could feel it, and as soon as I hit those rocks, that's when I was getting bit. That's when every fish was taking that Texas rig, as soon as I got down into those rocks. They weren't hitting it when the crankbait was coming through, but when the slower, subtle presentation of this Strike King structure bug came through there, that's when they would bite. I logged that down in my head, and what I did after that, after I'd fished that point out, I felt like I had fished it completely and caught every fish off there that I could. A tool at my disposal to figure out where the fish may be holding at. And that is a good old paper map. If you do not have one of these, whether you fish from the bank or a boat, it doesn't even matter. If you don't have one of these maps, I suggest you go get one of these maps. Any kind of lake map is great to have because it shows you contour lines of the lake. So you can see all the different depths, you can see where all the humps are, where all the points, how far they go out. I mean, you can tell so much about a lake from this lake map. It's absolutely great to use. It's a great tool, and I definitely suggest you go pick one of these up. So what I did is I used that lake map, and I found other points that were exactly like the one that I was on. Found, points with the same depth of water. I was fishing in about probably between 12 and 15 foot of water. Found points with that amount of water, and I went to those points, and that's where I would stop and I would fish and I would throw that same bait, and I got bit. So with that being said, another tool that I used when I went to these points is this right here. Because when you throw out there and you get bit, one of these can come in very, very handy. What I actually do with this, a lot of people I'll see will mark their spot where they're fishing at. Personally, I just use these to mark the location of where my boat needs to be sitting. Because if you throw this out there, this lead weight will go to the bottom and it will unwind on itself here, and this buoy will float, of course. This is a great tool to use to mark where you need your boat to be sitting. Because what I would do is when I got off these points and I started getting bites, I would throw this out and I would know exactly where my boat needs to sit where I got that bite, and I could throw right back in there. And it was a tough day, super highly pressured. Caught 4 fish that day. All of them came on points on the rock in about 12 to 15 foot of water on that Strike King Rage Bug. That's my second tip. Use all these tools at your disposal. If you're having a tough day out on the water, and then say you're fishing these reaction baits and you slow down to something, you start getting bit, keep that in your mind. Keep, just make a mental note, or just as much detail as you can remember, and just keep a log or a mental note of that. And then what you can do is you can look at your lake map or at your electronics, even if you've got a Navionics or a Bassmaster card or anything like that in your electronics. You can use that and look off that and figure out where these other points are, or it may not even be a point. It might just be a pocket in the back of a cove that you might be looking for with a certain depth of water or a certain drop off or something like that. Just something very subtle that you might be catching the fish on. And then you can just easily pick those points apart, and you can really narrow down. When you've got a huge body of water, you want to narrow that thing down as much as possible. So this can really help. And I will go in depth on that in a later video and show you guys exactly how I read this lake map and how I use this alongside of my electronics to find fish, to find structure, to find cover. I'll show you how to really use those lake maps to get the best use for your money from those things, and use them to catch the most fish as well. I hope you've learned something from this video, and I hope you can take something away from it and use it on the water next time you go, and hopefully it'll help you to catch some more fish. If you like what you're seeing here, please hit that like button below, and please subscribe if you've not already. I hope to be doing a lot more of this in the future, and I'm really looking forward to it because I enjoy making these videos. So thank you very much again for watching those last two videos if you have already. If you haven't, please go check those out as well and give them a like, and comment anything below that you would like to see me do in the future. Or if you have any questions, please comment those as well, and I will be glad to answer those questions for you. I hope you all have a great day, and we'll see you on the water.